Go.
Hello, we're going to talk today about how to make imposter syndrome work for you. This has come about because working with support or in technical writing, we often find ourselves thinking that we're not good enough. You're a fraud. I'm a fraud. Going through my head is the thought that I don't belong here. I hope they don't ask me any questions. From a technical writing perspective, we talk about things like adverbial phrases, splitting infinitives. What does that even mean? What does it mean to be qualified in support? My qualification doesn't count for me to be able to do support or technical writing. How would you even get qualified for that? I don't know how to write help pages, understand APIs. I can't even spell things right the first time. I certainly can't make words style to work the way I expect it to. Any minute now, they're going to work out I am a fake. I'm a fraud. I'm an imposter. I'm not a real technical writer. I'm not a real support person. All right, that's enough about me. Let's talk about everybody else here. Well, everyone else here knows more than me. They've worked longer in the industry or in the role than me. They've probably read more than me. They might have even spoken at some events. They know more about a particular product or documentation tool or a particular technology, or they've done more research into a certain service. Maybe they even know the Chicago Manual of Style off by heart. They're better than me. I suck. All right, no need to hyperventilate. It's going to be okay. Don't panic. This is imposter syndrome. This is this persistent fear that comes up in the back of your mind that says any minute now you will be exposed as a fraud. It means that you can't own your own accomplishments, that you don't think that you're worthy of it, that even if someone says, great job, you think, it wasn't really me. Oh, it was only because so-and-so helped me. If you look around the room, you've got it, you've probably got it. I know I've certainly got it. Chances are everybody that you know who works in this industry experiences imposter syndrome. If not right now, then definitely at some point in their life. It's great! Imposter syndrome is fantastic. It's the best thing that ever happened to us. Before I can tell you why it's so good, I'm going to look at why it is that every single one of us experiences imposter syndrome. And 4 insights into why people who work in the tech writing or support industry are especially. Number 1, why do we get it? Support people and documentation writers are often the last people to be hired in any given team, and the last people to be involved. When you're starting up a new product, you hire people who can program, and then you might hire some people who can sell, and last of all, you hire people who can make your customers' lives easier through support or support documentation. And we usually hire not because initially there is seemed to be a need for our services, but because everybody else has run out of time to do it. We're kind of an afterthought. We struggle sometimes to be viewed as relevant, to be viewed as important to the success of the team. Nothing says fraud like the idea that you just don't belong. Second reason we tend to feel like a fraud, there isn't just one path into this field. People come into it from being a programmer. That's where I started. They come into it from working in maybe administration, or they've got an arts degree. Maybe they do have a writing certification. Maybe they've got law experience. Maybe they've got a sociology degree. Maybe they've come here from project management. Maybe they've got no experience at all and they just happen to be really good at this particular kind of technology. Maybe they've come here through a wormhole in space and time. There's many different overlaps, many different places that a documentation person or a customer support person can sit within a product. And it's more than just being a core writer or a core customer person. We have lots of different skills. We come from different areas. There isn't one certification that fits us. Reason number 3, it can be a bit of a solitary role. So you're not working with other people necessarily, or at least not tightly with other people, which means it's hard to get validation. You can't bounce ideas off someone else to say, is this the right way to go about doing it? How would you have handled it? Even the people that we are responsible to can be dismissive of our efforts. They don't understand the amount of effort and skill it takes to do our job. We're an afterthought. I mean, they're pleased to have us because it means that they don't have to do it, but they're not personally invested in it and they don't necessarily see the value of it. And nothing says I'm a fraud than operating in a vacuum, because we tend to assume the worst. 4th reason and final reason why we can often feel like frauds. We have huge crossovers with other areas within a team, each of which are usually full of experts in their field. So we need to learn what they're doing in order to document what they're getting up to and the interfaces between each area. That means we are always learning. We're always trying to absorb more. There is always heaps more for us to learn. It's not often that we get to rest and just write or deal with what we already know. Most of the time, we're always learning. That means that we never get to feel like an expert. We always feel like we're second best. You're going to feel like a fraud if you never get to feel like an expert and if everybody around you knows more than you do. So you're feeling depressed yet? Have I convinced you that you suck? In fact, that we all suck. Have I just actually convinced your imposter syndrome that not only do you feel like a fraud, but that you actually are a fraud? Turn that frown upside down. All of the weaknesses that I've just discussed are actually our strengths. They're the reason that we're special. They're the reason that we get hired. They're the reason we're actually invaluable to the team. Wait, how can this be? Our weaknesses are our strengths. Reason number 1 on why we are awesome. We might be the last set of people to get involved within a product, but once we're there, our diverse experience makes us invaluable. Our insight and our extra skills make people wonder how they coped without us, and they certainly don't want to go back to doing the job that we're doing. So just because initially we're not valued does not mean that down the track we're not seen as crucial to the success of the team. It was just that originally the first set of people didn't know what they were missing out on until we turned up and showed them. Just because there's no one path into the field that you can't point to and say, this makes me qualified to do this job, doesn't mean that we're not qualified. Our depth and breadth of experience sets us all apart. We're not gingerbread people stamped out by a cookie cutter, all coming from the same training course, all coming through the same career path. We've all taken different paths. Now, this can make it harder for an employer to vet us. How do we know that you are going to be good at the job that you say that you are when we can't point to a single accreditation that says, oh, you come from the right university or the right college with the right skill under your belt? But as someone who is interested in working with people and is good at identifying their needs and speaking to those needs, hopefully we can write a cover letter and write a resume and talk to people in an interview. That means that we can express what it is that we do. We just need to apply a little forethought. Right, reason number 3. You're out there doing it on your own, so you're wondering whether you're doing okay. This means that we don't get that feedback necessarily from other people, but we get to forge our own path. You don't have someone sitting there telling you that this is not the way for it to be done. You've got scope for demonstrating initiative and for trying out a few different things. You can develop and adapt your process so that it works for you. But we're not really alone. I mean, you can have the sense, particularly for a technical writer embedded in a team, of often other technical programmer types. you have a sense that you are alone, but you know, places like the Write the Docs community or Elevate Philly that we're about to go to mean that you can connect with a whole bunch of people of similar minds. And in fact, as people who deal with customers every day, often our problem is that we talk too much. We're a little too good at communicating. Right, the reason that we're awesome, number 4, we never get to feel like an expert. We always feel second best. How awesome is that? I would love to be second best at everything in the world. I'll settle for being second best for everything on this screen. But you know, that's still pretty good. If you get the chance to interrogate and investigate and communicate with people all across the entire company, that's brilliant. You're not stuck in one single silo. It means that you are picking up skills beyond just the area that you're working in. You get to pick up skills in marketing, you get to pick up skills in project management, in people management, you get to pick up skills in the technical area. It means that we tend to develop broad and deep networks across the entire company. You become the go-to person for every department. You may want to find out what's happening in someone else's department because you know people and you know how to talk to them and you often know what they're working on. So we don't have to be so narrowly confined. We get to learn a lot and we pick up their skills. So when someone's coming along to look at hiring us, they don't just get a technical writer, they don't just get a support person. They often get someone who's got some project management skills or some QA testing skills, or maybe there's someone with a bit of marketing experience. We are diverse and broad and each of us is unique, and this is a really awesome thing. All right, so let's have a look back at imposter syndrome. Characterised by 2 things. 1, you think that any minute now someone's going to figure out that you're a fake. Number 2, that you don't get to own your own accomplishments. You don't get to say, yes, I did that and it was worthwhile. So looking at number 1, the fear of being exposed as a fraud. You are not an expert because we have to do so many things. You can't be an expert at all of the things. That's okay. That doesn't make you a fraud. Not being an expert does not make you a fraud. What are our core skills? Words. Words is what matter. If you are not taking care of the words that we use to communicate with people, sure, then you're a fraud, but the rest of it doesn't matter. Let's keep an eye on the core skills. If you love words and you care about helping people, then you're not an imposter. All right, the second thing is about not being able to own your own accomplishments. If you have a look back at your history, you can see the parts when nobody else did what you did. Sure, they might not have had time, but you made time for this and they did not. You've got a lot of skills. Some will be stronger than others. Nobody is level 10 everywhere. For everyone you admire, there's someone else who admires you. In my amazing graph, I pinched off the internet. This is actually a graph from how you get around in the Choose Your Own Adventure game. And as you get through the pages, what the decision points are going to be. And you might expect that your career path looks like a box up in the top corner. Came along, you emerged out of initial set of school, you decided to go left or right into a technical field or a people kind of field, and maybe you took some further training and then you made some more decisions, and then you worked in one kind of company or maybe another company, and eventually you would get to the end where there's some sort of expert out here. That's not usually how most of us end up in this role. The tree looks more like this. Where you came over here and you took some course and then you followed a wiggly line and you ended up down over here, and then you followed another wiggly line and you ended up over here. This is typical for someone who works in support or technical writing because we do tend to pick up lots of diverse skills. And it means that we can own our accomplishments because it's not just someone else's work, it's our work. And the reason that our work is so good is because we have this diverse experience. Now let's talk about sheep. There is this fantastic kids book, Where is the Green Sheep? In which we'll spend a lot of time looking for the green sheep. In the story, it starts off and says, where is the green sheep? Here is the blue sheep, here is the swing sheep, here is the high sheep, and here is the low sheep. And there's gorgeous pictures of little sheep doing all these things. And every other page it asks, where is the green sheep? And to me, I view this as us looking around to say, where is the true support person? Where is the true technical writer? If I'm a fraud, surely there's someone out there who is not a fraud, who is what I'm aspiring to be. And we can see people out there, sheep, in all these different facets. And we keep flipping through the book, and you look at the snow sheep, and you look at the beach sheep, and you look at the blue sheep, and the red sheep, and the flying sheep, and the unicorn sheep. Where is the green sheep? Finally, you find the green sheep, and it's asleep at the end of the book underneath a shrub. I'm quite a fan of sheep taking naps. Sure. Green sheep. We've found the lazy green sheep, but I think the book, in some respects, misses the point, which is that we're all sheep. You don't have to be the green sheep. You just have to be a sheep. And it's great because you can have sheep with all sorts of different sheep, customer service people, with all sorts of different skill sets. And we need that diverse experience. You don't have to be the one true green sheep. We are all sheep. All right, so we've looked at the definition of imposter syndrome, that you feel like a fraud, and any minute now someone's going to figure that out and fire you. We've looked at, and that you can't feel that you own your accomplishments, that they are due to your own hard work. We've looked at the 4 reasons why those of us working in our field tend to be prone to feeling like a fraud, and why our kryptonite is actually our superpower. A little bit like Batman. Batman went into a cave, was terrified by bats. Now he goes out dressed as a bat to put fear in the hearts of evildoers. Clearly. You know, he's turned a weakness into a strength. Us too. What's really powerful for us is words. And if you're looking after the words and the way you deal with your customers, then, in my view anyway, you are definitely not a fraud. It's easy for us to feel unqualified because we don't have one path into the field, and comparing ourselves to others is always going to make us feel second best. There is, and for everything that I admire about you, then there will be things about me that you in turn admire. We're not all the same, and this is what we need. This diversity means that we can support each other. You are unique. Nobody else has your experiences. And your strengths make you distinctly qualified to do what you do. We all are the green sheep. Hear you roar! Bah! Anybody else has something they want to say? Ask questions. All right.
I didn't read the book, but I thought the green sheep was going to be the planet they were on. Maybe you just need to zoom